Alrighty, good morning, everyone. Welcome to week 16, Wednesday, May 20th. It's about 10 a.m. right now, and I'm going to go ahead and start sharing my screen for the announcements for today. All right, so today we are covering the last chapter of algebra. So good job, you guys have made it to the end. The last chapter is on conics, and we're going to go until about 12:30 today. The agenda today is we're going to go through the announcements. If you haven't printed out the conics worksheet yet, it's under Canvas. Otherwise, you could just follow along, but it's on Canvas in the it out. We'll have a break, and then I have several student spotlights, actually a lot. So actually, I might start off with the student spotlights, some of them in the beginning, and then have some of them later. So far, I've had Angelica, Jesus, and Emily, and I think Joseph, you just sent me yours. So I'll have you guys start first. Actually, are any of you guys there? I see Angelica's here.
Yeah, I'm here.
Okay. Jesus?
I'm here too.
Joseph, are you here?
Yes.
And Emily?
Yes, I'm here.
I'll have the four of you guys start first. Ashley and Dayana, I know the two of you guys that you wanted to do it. Go ahead and send it to me so that I can have it, and I'll show it during the after the break.
Okay.
A few announcements. The exam corrections are due today, so I've received a bunch of them already, but there's still a lot more that I haven't received yet. So that's due tonight. Or anytime. Alex homework that we're going to be covering over today. It's only 8 topics, so it's really good. I think really the last chapter is short and sweet and simple. So that'll be due on Sunday. There's only 8 topics. If I were you guys, I would do it before the weekend, but whatever floats your boat. And then on Monday, we have a holiday, so we will not have Zoom. And then there will be a quiz that'll be available, and it'll be due on Tuesday night. I'll have it available on Monday and Tuesday, and you can take it anytime on Monday and Tuesday. And again, unlimited tries. And just a quick reminder that the SLA DLAs are all due this next Friday. All 5 of them are due by next Friday if you haven't been working on them, or you still have a few more to do. So this Friday, the gradebook is currently all up to date. The only thing I need to put in there is some of the exam corrections, so I'll do that after this class. But what you see on the gradebook right now is up to date. If there's anything that's on there that you're like, why do I have a 0? I did turn that in. Let me know, and I'll update it. The Math Success Center sends me the SLAs, DLAs once a week of who did it. So I haven't got anything for this week yet. So if you did it in the last couple of days, just hold on until I get the email from the Math Success Center, and I'll update it as soon as I get it. Reminder that Garrett's tutoring hours are available on Discord. Reminder that my YouTube channel is still there. All of my ConferZoom's recordings are there. The playlist of every chapter is there. Upcoming events. Next week is Memorial Day, Monday, so there's no Zoom. Again, Conics quiz on Tuesday, due by Tuesday. On Wednesday will be the last Zoom before our final exam, and that last Zoom will have a final exam review. The practice final is due the week. So after the final exam review, the practice final is due on Sunday. And again, it's unlimited tries. And basically, I'm taking all of your exams and I'm putting it together to create a final exam. And then the final exam itself will be on Monday at these 2 times. So you can choose whichever one you want to go to. And I will allow 1 page of notes. So front and back, 1 page of notes. And before the test begins, you'll just show me real quick on the computer screen or on your phone screen of your notes. Okay, do you guys have any questions on any of these announcements?
Do you know how many questions is going to be the final exam?
You know, I haven't created the final exam yet, so I'm not sure. It'll be longer than your normal exam. Like your last exam was only 15 questions. It might be about 25 questions.
Oh, okay.
Any other questions? Any questions at all? Sophia, I see your question about the Math Success Center being on Monday. I'm not sure the best person to ask is the Math Success Center people. So if you go on the website or if you email them or call them, just ask them. I'm assuming they will not be open on Monday, but you might want to double check. And Anthony, if you did an SLA just last week, I haven't gotten anything yet, so hopefully I'll get it. I'll hear from them this week. Alrighty, so without further ado, I'm going to go ahead and have some people present. So let's start off with so first off, Angelica, Jesus, Joseph, and Emily, the four of you guys, are you okay with me sharing or recording your student spotlight?
Yes.
I don't mind.
Yes. Oh, I don't mind.
Yeah.
Okay, so I hear four voices, so all seems like all four of you guys are okay with me recording it, right?
Yeah.
All right, great. So I will go ahead and keep that recorded, keep recording that, and I'm going to go ahead and share the screen right now. Let's go ahead and start off with. Do you guys see that?
Yeah.
I think this is Angelica, right?
Yeah, that's me.
You're up.
Okay. So hi everyone, my name is Angelica. I want to start off with the pictures with me and my sisters. I have 5 sisters. 3 are older than me, and I have 1 younger sister. I'm really, really close to my sisters. We have like a really close connection, but the 3 in the middle, that's me, and then my 2 older sisters. They have moved to Texas just this past year. So it's been kind of hard, like with the distance and everything, because like they were the ones that I would mostly like hang out with and do things with. So like now, I just stick with like friends or like with my boyfriend. I've been with him for about 4 years. So when they left, I got like really close to him, like even more, because like he was the one that was always with me and stuff. So then my dogs too. The little brown one is called Belle. She is 2 years old. And then the white one here is Milo. He is turning 8 this year. So he's already a little bit older. He's like the more calm one. And then the picture up here in the top left corner is me and my niece. She's like my goddaughter. So she also lives in Texas because that's my sister's daughter. So she lives over there, and it's just like I go visit them or like she'll come over here, but it's kind of hard like keeping us like separate because I miss them like so much. But yeah, besides that, I like traveling and like going exploring new places, like hiking and going to the beach. The last picture over here in the bottom next to my dogs, I took in Mexico. It's from Tequila. My family is from Jalisco. So we're like, when all of us go to Mexico, we meet up with like the family over there because I have like a really big family. And even though we don't see each other like all the time, when we all get together in Mexico, it's like really fun. We're always just like hanging out, having fun. And yeah, a picture with me and my mom. She's like super special to me and important. So then the last picture over here with the heart and the clouds, I took that like on the plane. I was on the way to Texas, and that was just in April. But yeah, I like to travel, be like exploring, and I'm really close to my family. And yeah, that's it. Do you guys have any questions?
Thank you, Angelica. Does anyone have any questions or comments for Angelica? What program did you use to make this collage?
It's an app. It's called Pic Collage.
Pic Collage? Oh, is that on your phone?
Yeah, I just did it on my phone.
Oh, that's really pretty.
Thank you.
Where do you live in Texas?
Can you turn out the printer, please?
They live in Austin.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, Austin, Texas.
Sounds like you're really close to your sisters. 5 sisters. They look like they're all your friends.
Yeah. Yeah, we're all really close.
You know, I was looking at plane tickets to go to Texas this weekend actually because it's Memorial Day.
Really?
And I actually saw it's only $209 round trip. But it's flying to Dallas. To Austin,
Oh, okay.
$500. But
Yeah, it's pretty expensive right now.
right.
I went in April. My ticket was like $60.
What?
Yeah, but that's when no one wanted to fly. Like that's when everything like started happening with COVID.
Huh?
But I still went out there because it was spring break.
Huh?
I still went out there, and there's like still like places open over there. So I got to enjoy my spring break over there because everything over here was closed already.
Wow, good for you. Way to take advantage
Yeah,
of flights.
yeah.
Oh, that's awesome. Any questions or comments for Angelica? Alrighty, thank you, Angelica, for sharing.
Yeah.
All right, next up, let's see. Share screen. Oops. Share screen. Let's go ahead and have, this is Jesus. You're up.
Okay, hello. My name is Jesus Martinez, and I was born and raised on Catalina Island. For those of you that don't know where that's at, it's 26 miles off the coast of Long Beach. It's a really tiny island, as you can tell, and yeah, it's like about 2,000 residents year round. So I come from a really small town, and it was pretty weird moving out here this year. Then the next slide. Okay, and then so the first little slide there. Oh, I graduated from Avalon High School. It's K through 12. It's about 500 students in total. My graduating class was 39 people. So yeah, I've had my like same friends all my life. And then the next one is where I'm currently at. And then after I finish my 2 years, I'd want to transfer to the bigger school. And then after that, hopefully go for my CPA, where it would help me be financially more happy. And yeah, that's it with that one. And then here's Descanso Beach Club. This is where I work at, where I spend all my summer. Sadly, I will not be doing so this summer. And then so it's basically like it's a public beach. A lot of people think it's private, but anyone can go out there. I'm a server out there. I serve in the little cabana area. You could see that in the right-hand slide. And yeah, it's fun. You meet people all the time. And then if you go out there, so the beach, it's in the summer, it's just a $2 fee, but sometimes my coworkers never really come around, so you don't actually get charged because there's so many people all the time, so it's impossible to charge everyone. And yeah, it's fun to go out there. So if you guys come out there, go ahead and visit me next year. And then a few things I like. I like sports. In high school, I played 4 years of soccer. And then football, I never really played it. But junior year, I gave it a try. And then senior year, I broke my leg. But it was fun, I guess, while it lasted. I think there's one more slide. Then also hanging out with my friends. It's another thing I enjoy. Music festivals are pretty fun. Here's Hardest Summer. This was 2019. That was pretty fun. These are some of my closest friends. They were all raised on the island as well. I'm the youngest one in the pictures, but yeah, they're all in college as well, so pretty fun.
Which one are you in here, Jesus?
I'm the one in the right, on the right-hand picture, in the top right. And then in the left hand, I'm kind of towards the middle.
Oh, this one?
No, the one on the side of him.
This one?
No, on the right hand side of him.
Oh, here.
The short one.
Okay, right there, this one. Okay. Cool. Any
And yeah.
questions or comments for Jesus? Garrett, didn't you want to go to Catalina?
What was that?
Oh, Garrett, are you there? Okay, Garrett had mentioned before that one of the places that he wants to go to after this quarantine is over is to Catalina.
Oh yeah, well, tell him to head on to Descanso.
Awesome. Yeah, I go to Catalina every summer with my kids, and yeah, one of my favorite drinks at Descanso is the buffalo milk.
Oh yeah, everyone always goes for that one. They always ask what it is.
It's so good. Anyways, that's one of my favorites. Next time I go there, I will definitely hit you up, Jesus.
Okay.
Well, thank you for sharing.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Let's talk about Emily.
Okay, so hi, my name is Emily. On the top left corner is what I'm trying to pursue at Long Beach. I'm trying to get my associates in child development, and then I plan on transferring to Dominguez Hills. And then that picture is me, my sisters. I have one older sister and one younger sister, so I'm like the middle child. And then on the bottom right corner is Disneyland. I love going to Disneyland. I had a pass the whole year, and my favorite season to go is like during Christmas time. And then in the middle picture is when I went to Cancun. I went to Cancun last summer. I love traveling, especially like to beach areas. And then on the left corner bottom is when I went to the Virgin Islands. I went on a cruise like 2 summers ago, and that was one of the places that we stopped by.
Awesome. Thank you, Emily. Does anyone have any questions or comments for Emily? Alrighty. Is your Disneyland pass gonna get extended because of what's going on?
I don't have it anymore. I just like I didn't renew it for this year.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Well, hopefully Disneyland will still be around after all this.
Yeah.
Yeah. Great. Well, thank you for sharing. So we did Emily, Jesus, Angelica. I'm gonna hold off. Just I feel like 3 right now is enough right now, and then I'm gonna go ahead and go into the what do you call it? The class lecture, and then we'll continue on with the rest of you. Okay, let me go ahead and share my screen real quick. All right, so we're now on the last chapter, which is on conics. And the word conics means that these are different shapes. We've been looking so far at shapes such as lines. So conics. So in algebra, we've been looking at things such as lines, right? And we learned all the characteristics of lines, right? With lines, we realized that the equation is y is equal to mx plus b. And we also realized that a line looks like this, or like that, right? Or like that, or whatever it looks like, right? So we learned a lot about lines. We learned how to solve for linear equations. We learned about slopes. We learned about these in word problems. We learned so much about lines. And then we also learned about quadratics. And when we look at quadratics, when we graph it, we know that they become parabolas. So when we looked at this shape, we saw that sometimes they were happy face and sometimes they were sad face, right? And if you go into college algebra, you'll learn about parabolas that face the left or face the right. So with these, we knew that they were oftentimes in the form of this, right? Or in general form, ax squared plus bx plus c, where the highest exponent is 2. So when the highest exponent is 2, we learned, or if you rewrite it in this way, we learned that this is what they look like if we graphed it. And we also learned how do you solve a quadratic. We learned how to factor, the square root method, completing the square, and quadratic formula. So we did a lot with quadratics, we did a lot with lines. So now we're going to move on with other things as well. So the other things that we're going to learn in this section is going to be, we're going to talk about circles. And with circles, there's going to be an equation or a formula for circles as well. So I'll write it out right here. The formula for a circle is going to be x minus h squared plus y minus k squared is equal to r squared. So when we talk about circles, we all know what a circle is, right? A circle is a round ball, right? You know, something that's like a round object. And what makes it a circle is that inside of the circle is what we call the center. So the center is going to be labeled as h comma k, Hong Kong. So you guys remember when we were talking about parabolas, I said the vertex is called Hong Kong, right? Here, HK. So here, the center is also Hong Kong, HK. Hong Kong just for short, right? So the H is next to the X and the K is next to the Y, right? So the X value of the center is next to this and the Y value is next to that. So center is Hong Kong. And then the other thing about circles is that they have a radius, that the distance from the center to the side of the circle is always going to be the same distance. That's what makes it a circle. The distance from the center to the side of a circle will always be the same distance. And that same distance is called radius. Radius R. So once you have something in this form, then we can go ahead and draw the circle or draw the circle. So I'm skipping around a little bit in here. Let's go ahead. I'm going to do a problem that is not on your worksheet. This is on my worksheet. I'm going to go ahead and share a screen here. So this is a worksheet that's different from yours. This is, no, actually this one is the same as yours. I think this might be the same, sorry. I'm gonna go ahead and share screen to this one instead. Here you go. So this is different from the one that you guys have, just because I want to do a different example before you guys do an example. So here we're going to start off with number 3. So number 3 is very similar to what you guys have on yours, but it's a little bit with different numbers. So in number 3 here, it says graph the circle. So knowing that my formula that I had in there, let's see if I could write here. So knowing the formula that I gave you guys, that x minus h squared, where's my, x minus h squared plus y minus k, that caret sign means it's to the exponent. Is equal to r squared. So can you guys see that?
No, well, I can.
Can you guys see the
No, I can see problem 3. I can't see it as well.
oh, you guys can't see it? How about now?
No.
I can only see problem 1.
Yeah, it's like frozen in problem 1.
It is. What was the first one? Let me stop this real quick. Okay. So let me stop the share and I'm going to try this again. So let's go ahead and share. This. Okay, does that work now?
Yeah.
Okay, so here's the problem, and I know that the formula for a circle is this. So this is my formula. So the first thing I want to ask myself is now, what is the center, right? So we know that the center is h comma k. So in this problem, What's going to be the center of this? What do you guys think?
-4, 3.
Right. -4, 3. So remember, it's x minus h. So you're actually going to take the opposite. So the opposite of -4 is going to be
4.
+4, right? Let me make sure I have this formula down right. This is number, yeah. So this is going to be +4. And then what is k going to be?
-3.
-3, right? So you want to take the opposite of what you see here because the formula says x minus the h. So it's going to be x minus a 4, and the 4 is going to be the h. And this is going to be y minus a -3. In order to have this y plus 3, it's y minus a -3. So in other words, you could just take the opposite of what you see here. So the opposite is +4 and -3. That's the center. So I'm going to put my center at +4, -3 right here. So I don't know if I could do that. 4, -3. I don't know if I could do that with this thing here. But pretend I put a dot at 4, -3 right here. Right? 4, -3, right? Oh, I guess I can't do that. So that's a center. And then the last question is, what is the radius going to be? The radius is the letter r. So here, r squared, this 16 is r squared. So therefore, what is r going to be?
4.
4, right? So the radius is going to be 4. Since r squared is 16, you square root that, the radius is going to be 4. Good. Any questions on that? So when I graph this, I'm going to put the center at 4, -3, and then to graph the circle, r is equal to 4, I'm going to go 4 to the right, put a dot. I'm going to go 4 up, put a dot. I'm going to put 4 to the left, put a dot, and then 4 down and put a dot. So at Alex, you're going to put 4 different dots outside of the center. You're going to put 4 different dots, and then you're going to draw that circle. So when you finally look at the answer here, the answer for number 3 is going to look like this. 4, -3. You have 4 to the right, 4 up, 4 left, and 4 down. And then you connect the dots. Is everyone okay with that? All right, let's go ahead and take a look at your worksheet. So your worksheet is number 3. Let me go ahead and give you guys a chance to go ahead and graph that circle. And I'll pause the recording as you guys are working on that.
You're muted.
Sorry. For this problem here, what did you guys get for the center?
-4 and 3, +3.
-4 and +3. Do you guys all agree with that?
Yes.
-4 and +3. So I go -4 to the left and 3 to the right, and 3 top. Okay, and then what did you guys get for the radius?
5.
5, great, because 25 here, square root of 25 is 5. So we're gonna go 5 to the right, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 5 left, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Oops. Gosh, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 left, 1, 2, 4, 5, 5 down. And then you draw your circle. So pretend that was a circle to connect the dots. Okay, is everyone okay with that?
Yeah.
All right, so that's that. Now let's look at question 4. So question 4 is a little bit trickier. So I'm actually going to do another version of question 4 so that I don't take away the fun from what you are doing. So here's my version. So my version here is My version here is this. It says graph the circle. So notice that this is not in the form of x minus h squared plus y minus k squared equals r squared. So because it's not in that form, we need to rewrite this into the form of a circle, right? And again, we know that this form of a circle is this right here. So this is what we want it to be in the form of. So the formula of a circle is this. So that's what we want to do. Rewrite it into this form. So the question is, how do we rewrite it? So how we rewrite it is first, step one. So step one here, you are going to step one, you're going to gather your x's together, your y's together, and your constants together. So when you gather it all together, what's going to happen is this. The x's are going to be together. So when you get your x's together, you're going to get x squared. So I'm going to put the caret sign mean exponent x squared minus 2x, because there's this one here. This is the x squared. And then there's a negative 2x, which is this. So I'm going to put those together. So I'm going to put these in parentheses. So x squared minus 2x. And I'm going to put a little space here. X squared minus 2x. And I'm going to leave a little space there because I'm going to do something with that. Plus, then I'm going to put the y's together. Well, notice the y's are y squared and 6y. So I'm going to have y caret sign squared plus 6y. I'm going to put a little space, and I'll tell you why later. So notice I have the x's together now and the y's together. And then notice there's a number 6 here. Well, that number 6, so again, my goal is to make it look like the formula of a circle. So to make it look like a formula of a circle, I'm going to have the number that doesn't have an x or y on the right side. So the 6, I'm going to bring it to the right. So this is going to equal to negative 6 because I brought that positive 6 and I subtracted it on both sides to make it a negative 6. So again, this positive 6, I brought it to the right. So now my x's are together, my y's are together, and the things that don't have x's and y's, in other words, the constant, is together on the right side. Is everyone okay with that so far? All right, so step 2 now.
Yes.
Okay, great. So now step 2, after I do that, I am going to complete the square. We learned this in the previous section. So notice here, x squared minus 2x, completing the square, I'm going to complete the square to put something in here. Does anyone remember what the formula, how we complete the square?
Isn't it b over 2a?
Right. So reminder, it's we take the middle term, b, and we divide it. Oh no, not b over 2a. It's close. So what we do is we take the middle term, the negative 2, and what do we do with that middle term? Divide it by 2, and then what do we do? Right. So you take the middle term, you divide it by 2, and then you square it, because that's what completing the square is. So in here, so notice I left a blank here. So this is the middle term. So it's a negative 2. I'm going to divide it by 2. So when I divide that by 2, I'm going to get negative 2 divided by 2 will give me 1. And I'm going to square that. 1 squared is just 1. So as a result, I end up getting, whoops. This is kind of hard to do. Maybe. So when I do that, the negative 2, I divided by 2 here. So negative 2, I divided by 2. and then I square it. So when I do that, I get -1 squared, which equals to +1. So that number, -2x, I'm going to put right here, +1. So that +1, I'm not sure if I could change that to red. I guess I could. So I'm putting that +1 here. So this 1 here, I put a +1. And then for this one, y squared plus 6y equals something. I'm going to take that 6, I'm going to divide it by 2, and then I'm going to square that. So when I do 6 divided by 2 and I square that, I get 3 squared, which equals to 9. So what I'm going to do here now is I'm going to add 9 to this. Whoops. I'm going to add 9. So I added a 1 and I added a 9. Now my question for you is, what am I, in the rule of math, what am I supposed to do if I add 1 and I add 9 here? What am I supposed to do on the right side?
You add them also.
Right. I also need to add 9 and add 1. So I need to add 1 and add 9. So here, remember when we do this, oops. Remember to add those quantities to the other side of the equation as well. Whatever you do, oops, whatever you do to one side of the equation, you must do to the other side. So same rules as math as always, right? So if I added 1 and I added 9, I need to also add 1 and add 9. Everyone okay with that? Okay, step 3. What was the purpose of completing the square? Why do we add 1 and why do we add 9? What was the purpose of this?
So we can factor it?
Great, so we can factor it. Great, so now we can factor, and when we do you guys remember what happens when we factor it?
Wouldn't they be squared so it would come out like the formula?
We get perfect squares, right? So let's go ahead and factor this. So x squared minus 2x plus 1. Go ahead and do your Xbox method. So when you factor that, what do we end up getting?
Wouldn't it be x minus 1 squared?
Right, x minus 1 times x minus 1, right? X minus 1 times x minus 1 is the same thing as x minus 1 quantity squared. So that's called a perfect square because x minus 1 times x minus 1, it's x minus 1 squared. Plus, what happens if you factor the y squared plus 6y plus 9?
Y plus 3 squared.
Good. So we get y plus 3 times y plus 3. In other words, y plus 3 squared. And equals to, and what's negative 6 plus 1 plus 9?
4.
4. Right. Does anyone have any questions with how we factored it? Great. So now at this point, last step, step 4, now that it's in circular form, in a circle form, find center and radius. Okay. So now notice that it is now in the form of the formula that we needed. So x minus 1 squared plus y plus 3 squared is equal to 4. So now when we look at that, this is the exact form we wanted. So what is the center in this case?
One negative 3.
Great, 1, negative 3. Does anyone have questions with that? A positive 1 and a negative 3. We take the opposites, right? And then what is the radius?
2.
Perfect. Ta-da! So here, when you graph it, you go 1 to the right, negative 3, going down, then 2 left, 2 up, left, right? And then you draw that circle. So when I look at the answer for question 4 should look like this. At 1, -3 center, to the left, 2 up, 2 left, right, 2 and 2 bottom. Does anyone have any questions with this? All right, so let's go ahead and have you guys go ahead and do the number 4 in your worksheet. This is your worksheet. Go ahead and do what we did. Rewrite this in the form of a circle. So again, gather your x's together, complete the square, factor, and then find the center and radius. So I'm going to stop the recording as you guys are working on this. Alrighty, help me out, you guys. What is this query? Hold on 1 second. Maybe it's sorry. Okay, it's better. I don't know if that was any better, but all right, let's take a look at this. So what did you guys do? What was your first step? How did you guys do it?
We gather all the x's, the y's.
Okay, so when you gathered all the x's, what did it look like?
X squared minus 8x.
Okay.
And I had to leave that space.
Okay.
And then plus y squared plus 4y.
Mm-hmm.
And then space equals -11.
Great. Is everyone okay with that? Great, nice work. And then what did you do after that?
Then I did the completing the square method.
Okay.
I took -8
Okay.
divided by 2 squared.
Mm-hmm.
I got 16 for that one.
All right, so we add 16. Great.
And then you have to make sure to add 16 to the other side as well.
Thank you.
And then completing the square for 4. So you take 4 divided by 2,
Mm-hmm.
and then square that equals 4.
All righty. And then I add 4 here, and then
And then add 4 to the other side as well.
Is everyone okay with that? I'm sorry, who was it that was just speaking?
It was Angelica.
Oh, Angelica, great. Thank you, Angelica. Does anyone have any questions with what Angelica did?
No.
All right. So after doing this, what next? So we have this here. What's next?
Then you have to factor.
Okay, so let's go ahead and factor it. When we factor, what do we get?
For the first one, we get x minus 4 squared.
Okay, so x minus 4 squared.
And for the y's, I got y plus 2 squared.
All right.
Equals 9.
Equals 9. Do you guys agree with Angelica?
Yes.
Perfect. Any questions? X minus 4 plus. Kent, I saw your message to me. I saw that you got 15. It should be 9. It should be 9. So -11 plus 16 will give you 5, and then 5 plus 4 is equal to 9. I saw you got 15, so try. Maybe something might have gone wrong. Okay, great. So now what did we get for the center?
We get +4 and +2.
+4 and +2?
Oh, I'm sorry, -2 for the
Good catch.
For the 2, it's negative.
Good. And what's the radius?
3.
That would be 9.
Is it 9?
I got 3.
3.
It should
Oh
be.
yeah, 3. I'm sorry.
Oh, no worries. You did all the hard work, and it was like the easier stuff that was that we messed up on, right? Great. So so the center is 4, -2, and the radius is 3. So let's go ahead and graph that. 4, -2 should look like that, and then 3 to the right, 3 left, 3 up, 3 left, and 3 down. And then you should be able to draw that circle. That's kind of cool, huh? Be able to use completing the square to make something like this look like a formula of a circle. Alrighty. Any questions on number 3 or 4?
No.
Okay, so now let's go ahead and look at the next topic, which is on ellipse. So that's a circle, everything you need to know about circles. So ellipse is basically an oval. An oval, so an oval, so it could look like a flattened oval like this, or it could look like a flattened circle like this, right? It could be stretched out horizontally or stretched out vertically. So so this is no longer called the center. So it's no longer called the center because the definition of a center is that it's the same distance from the center to the side. So it's not called a center. It's called, I don't remember what it's called, but it's not called a center. However, so the way that I teach it is going to be different from how you're going to see on Alex. And I just think my way is a little bit more simple to understand. So let me just show you like this. So an ellipse is exactly a circle that's flattened, right? It's flattened by some distance. So what it looks like is that it's going to look like x minus h squared. So first it's going to start off just like a circle. It looks just like a circle. The only difference is, so equals, so instead of r, because r is the same distance from the center to the side, well, as you can see, the distance from here to here, right? So I'll call that a, a is different from the distance from here to here, right? So I'll call that b. So a and b are not the same, whereas in a circle, if I had an a and a b, they're exactly the same because that would be the r. But here, the a and b are not the same, and that's why it's not a radius, so we call it a and b. So this radius here, instead of calling it a radius, what I'm going to do is I'm going to call this equals to 1. And I'm going to divide this, so beneath the x is going to be the a squared. So the a beneath the x variable is the distance, the horizontal distance from this quote unquote center, and I put quote unquote center. So here the center, because it's not truly a center by definition of a center, but I just call it a center anyways. So the center, quote unquote, is still Hong Kong, but the A is going to be the horizontal distance from the center to the side. So A is the horizontal distance. And then B, which is going to be beneath the Y, so the number that's beneath the Y, so B squared here, if I take the square root of that, B is going to be the vertical distance from the center to the side. So it's going to be the up and down distance. So this B here is from down here to there. So for me, the way that I teach it and the way that I understand it, it's a little bit more simpler than on Alex. Alex, it might change the A and B. It might switch the order on you. But for me, I just think the A is the horizontal distance and the B is the vertical distance. So I think A is the horizontal and B is vertical. I'm sorry, I wrote it backwards. A is horizontal and B is vertical, right? So let's take a look at a problem. How this looks like. So this is the Big Kahuna equation for ellipse. This was the Big Kahuna equation for circle. So again, they're exactly the same except that there's no radius. So we put equals to 1, and it's almost like this r squared. It's like we divide it underneath each one. So when I divide it under, I put a squared here, and I divide it under here, I get b squared. So here in this, I'm going to go ahead and do a problem that is not on your worksheet, but is on my worksheet, just so that we have a different problem for you to work on. So I'm going to do number 5 on my worksheet. This is 5 on my worksheet, okay? So again, do not, wait, sorry. So here's number 5 on my worksheet, different from yours. So notice I see that this is this thing plus this thing equals to 1. So I know right away that this is an ellipse. So in college algebra, if you guys go to Math 45, they might not tell you graph it, and you don't even know what it is. But if you see that's an equation with fractions that equals to 1, then you know it's an ellipse because it matches that. So we know that's x minus h squared equals b squared. I always like to write down the formula the minute that I see it. So here, when I look at this, I say, okay, what is my Hong Kong? What is my center case? So it's the same thing as looking at a circle, right? So here's +4 and y minus 5. So the center is going to be -4, comma, +5, right? So you take the opposite of what's there. So instead of 4, it'll be -4. And instead of -5, it'll be +5. So that's my Hong Kong. So -4, comma, 5. Over here. Now, I look at this. This 4 here is my a squared. My a squared is equal to 4. Well, if I want to find a is going to equal to 2, right? And it's really plus or minus 2, right? Because 2 squared is 4, and then -2 squared is also 4. So I'm going to go up. So here, remember, a is also always my horizontal distance. Or in other words, the number that's underneath the x is going to be always a horizontal distance. So I'm going to go to the left and to the right. And then b squared is going to be 9. This is always my vertical distance. So b squared is 9. So what is b equal to?
3.
3. Good. So b is going to be my vertical distance. So here's my b going up and down 3. And therefore, my ellipse is again an oval. So that's the only difference between a circle and ellipse. An ellipse equals to 1, and the vertical and the horizontal distance from the center is a little bit different. And if you just remember, the number that's underneath x is the horizontal, and the number underneath y is the vertical. So let me go ahead and give you guys now a chance to do your problem. So, geez, it looks almost the same as mine, but it's a little bit different. Go ahead and try 5 in your worksheet. I'll give you guys a chance to work on that, and I'll pause the recording. Alrighty, why don't you guys help me out with this? What was your HK in this problem?
1 and -5.
1 and -5. Great. So 1 and -5. What is your horizontal distance?
Four.
Sorry?
4.
Is it 4?
Will be 2 because your a squared will be 2.
Right. So remember, a squared is equal to 4. Then the a is going to be 2. Good. And what is the vertical distance? 3. 3. Right. So we're going to go up 2, down 2, right 2, left 3. So here it looks like it's an oval that's more flattened, right? It's pretty easy. You good?
Yeah.
All right. Now let's try number 6. So number 6, I'm going to do my number 6 first. Again, I'm going to do my version because I don't want to take away your fun. So my version of number 6 is this. So in my version of number 6, great, Pant, I saw your response right there. So in my version of number 6, it says graph the ellipse. Well, notice it doesn't look like an ellipse, right? Because remember, an ellipse has to be of the form where it is a fraction and it has to equal to 1, right? The ellipse has to be a fraction that equals to 1. Well, in this problem, wait a minute, this is equal to 36. How can I make 36 look like 1? What do I need to do?
6.
Yep. I'm going to divide by 36. If I divide by 36, that's going to equal to 1. So if I divide, I just ended up muting everyone because there was a bunch of noise in the background. Hope this is better. So if I divide by 36, therefore I'm going to divide everything by 36 because whatever you do one side, you must do to the other side. So if I divide by 36, I get 1. And here, 4x squared over 36. 4 divided by 36, well, they both have a common factor of 4. 4 divided by 4 is 1. 36 divided by 4 is 9. Right, when you simplify that fraction. Plus, I have y squared here. 9 divided by 36 is, if you reduce that, 9 divided by 9 is 1. 36 divided by 9 is 4. So it so happens that the numbers switch, but that was just by chance. So now we have it in the form that we want it to look like. So just like a circle, if you don't have it in the form that you want it to be, you just have to do some work, right? So this is a form that I want it to look like. And now that I have that, then I can say, okay, well, what's HK? Well, HK, it's x minus blank squared, is right? It's supposed to be in this form, x minus something squared. Well, if there's nothing there, then you can assume that h is just 0. Because in other words, it's just x minus 0 squared. X minus 0 squared is the same thing as x squared. So you can just assume then, if it's just x squared, that h is just 0. Same thing with here, y squared. Since there's nothing next to it, there's no y minus something, then you can assume it's y minus 0. So Hong Kong is just 0. So there's my center. And then here, the horizontal distance, or a, in other words, so this here's my a squared is equal to 9. So therefore, a is 3. So I'm going to go to the right 3 and to the left 3. And then the vertical distance, if this is b squared, then when I square root that, then the vertical distance is just 2. And therefore, it looks like this, right? Any questions? Alrighty, if there's no further questions, go ahead and try your problem, which looks almost the same as mine, but it's a little bit different. Go ahead and try number 6 here, and I'll stop the recording so you guys can work on that. All right, let's go ahead and get back to this. So I'm going to unmute all of you guys so you guys can talk. Looking at this, what do I do to make it look like an ellipse?
You divide everything by 36.
Okay, divide everything by 36. Okay, when we divide everything by 36, what does this first fraction become?
X squared over 4.
Great. What is this fraction?
Y squared over 9.
Right.
And
Equals
this is
to
1.
Perfect. Is everyone okay with that?
Yes. Yes.
What is HK?
Since it's just x squared, you automatically know it's 0.
All right.
And as was y squared was going to be 0.
Perfect. Good job. So 0, 0. What's my A value?
It would be 2,
Good. And what is my B value?
3.
Good. Good. So 2 here and 3 here. And then you draw your ellipse. Everyone okay with that? Great job, you guys. Not too bad, right? I really love this chapter because it's so visual and it's not too hard, and it's the last chapter. So we kind of end off, we end this off kind of like on a better note. All right, so I'm gonna keep going along. Do you guys need a break, or are you guys okay?
We're good.
You're good? Okay, let me know if you guys need a break at any point. All right, so we're on a roll. So now let's go ahead and look at the last shape, which is hyperbola. So here's an ellipse, and now let's look at a hyperbola. Isn't there an English word for, oh, it's a hyperbole. Right. What is a hyperbole? You guys remember? Remember? Okay. All right. So let's looking at her. Do you guys see my screen by any chance? Or did it stop?
We can see it.
You guys can see the screen. Okay. So a hyperbola then is going to be something that looks like two parabolas that are facing away from each other. So that's a hyperbola. It's two parabolas facing away from each other. So it's either facing away from each other left and right, or it's facing away from each other up and down. Well, if you think about it, if you think about this note, if you think of an ellipse or a circle, if you think about a ellipse or circle, it's really two parabolas facing towards each other, right? Or two parabolas going up and down that are facing towards each other, right? So if you kind of think of an ellipse or a circle as two parabolas facing away towards each other, a hyperbola is the opposite. It's two parabolas facing away from each other. So since they're facing away from each other, but there's still parabolas that are facing one another or facing one way or the other, it's going to look exactly like an ellipse. The only difference is there's going to be a minus sign because it's facing away from each other. So the only difference is going to be a minus sign. So x minus h squared over a squared minus y minus k squared over b squared is equal to 1. This is the formula of hyperbola. It's exactly the same thing as an ellipse, but with a minus sign. Now, and then notice whenever we have subtraction, the order matters, right? The order matters whether it's different from saying, say, if I had 5 minus 2, is totally different from saying 2 minus 5. Like the order totally matters. So here, if this one was positive and this one was negative, then you would have y minus k squared over b squared minus x minus h squared over a squared is equal to 1. So here, I switch the orders. And when you have it where x is positive and y is a negative one, where x is the first fraction and y is the second fraction, or the positive and the negative, then the hyperbola is going to look like this. And if you have it y is positive and x is negative, in other words, y minus x, then it's going to look like this. And how I remember this is this kind of looks like an x, right? If you put them together, if you make them side by side, it looks like an x. And this one kind of looks like a y. It starts off looking like a y, right? This happy face looks like a, it's going to be, it looks kind of like the y, right? If you just draw a line here, it'll look like y. Here, if you put these two together, it'll look like x. So that's how I remember which one is which. You can memorize it however you want. But again, if the x is positive, then it looks like this. If the y is positive, then it looks like that. So the question is now, how do we draw it, right? And just letting you know on Alex, so again, the way that I teach it, the way that makes sense in my mind is very different from how Alex, not very different, it's a little bit different from how Alex does it. You'll end up getting the same answer when you graph it, but on Alex, they write it like this. For this formula here, they write it like y minus, I think they put k squared, but on the bottom here, they put a squared minus x minus x, and here they put b squared is equal to 1. Where they just switch up the letters, they switch up which one's a, which one's b on Alex, right? So, but the basic idea is the number that's beneath the y value is going to be the horizontal distance from the center, and the number beneath the x is always the horizontal distance from the center. So same story as ellipse, right? The number underneath the x is always the horizontal. The number underneath the y is always the vertical. So here, if you're under y, this is the vertical. Underneath x, it'll be horizontal. So whether you call it A, B, C, D, W, Z, whatever, it doesn't matter what the letter is. It's just as long as you know how to draw it. But when you punch in your answer on Alex, they might say, let B equal to the one that's underneath here, or however way. All right, so I'm gonna mute you guys so that it's not as distracting. So I'm gonna do an example. And this is from my example. So my example of number 7 is this. So again, this is different from yours because I don't want to take away your fun. Here I have something, and I notice it's a minus sign. That's how I know it's a hyperbola. It's minus, and it already equals to 1. So here, I have a fraction minus, and I'm like, wait a minute, this one does not have a fraction. Well, it doesn't have a fraction. You could just assume that this is divided by 1, right? If it doesn't have a fraction, you could assume that the 1 is in the denominator. So this is something equal to 1, and it's a minus sign. So what I'm going to do first is I'm going to say, what is h comma k? So it's the same story as what you've done before. So h comma k is going to be positive 6, because the negative 6 becomes positive 6, and the negative 5 becomes a positive 5. So 6, 5 is going to be my hk. So there's hk. Now, the a value, or the a, this is my horizontal, and this is my vertical, right? So the horizontal is a squared is equal to 25. So that means a is equal to 5, because the square root of 25 is 5, and that's my horizontal distance. So I'm going to go 5 to the right. So this is 6 comma 5, right? Okay, so I'm going to go 5 to the right, so that I'll be at 11. And then I'm going to go 5 to the left, so I'll be at 1. So that's my a value. Now my b value, b squared is equal to 1, because remember, and that's this is my vertical distance. So if I square root that, b is equal to 1, right? My vertical distance. So I'm just going to go 1 up and 1 down, right? So totally not drawn to scale. Now, if this was a positive, if this was plus, then it would be an ellipse, and then I would just draw my oval, and I'm done. But be very careful right here. This is where things are a little bit different. So in this problem, how it's different is that instead of drawing the ellipse, remember, a hyperbola is supposed to look like this, right? So because the x was positive, I know it's going to look like this, right? It has to look like that. So we're like, how in the world does that become that, right? Well, how it becomes that is next what you got to do. So the next thing you got to do is different from ellipse. The next step is this. We're going to draw a rectangle, a dotted, and I put a dotted rectangle. Draw a dotted rectangle. So here, using these dots that we just put in here, we're going to draw a dotted rectangle. So here, I'm going to go through here, and I'm going to draw my dotted rectangle to go through these points, to go through the points. So notice here's the center. I don't draw a rectangle around the center, but I draw it from these points, the A's and B's points, right? So I drew my dotted rectangle. And the reason why it's dotted is because it's not really the graph of the hyperbola. It's just going to help you draw the graph of the hyperbola. Okay, and then after you do that, after you draw a dotted rectangle through those points, is now you're going to draw dotted diagonals. And these are what we call asymptotes. And again, you will learn a lot more about asymptotes in college algebra. But what asymptotes are is that they're dotted diagonals in this picture. So diagonal is like this, right? A slanted line. So what I'm going to do is I look at the corners of the rectangle. So dotted diagonals through the corners of the dotted rectangle. So I'm going to draw dotted diagonals, or they're called asymptotes, through the corners of the dotted rectangle. So what I do here is here's the corner and here's the corner. I'm going to just take a straight edge or a ruler or whatever, and I'm just going to draw a diagonal dotted line, dotted diagonal line through there. And I'm going to look at the corners of this, rectangle. So the rectangle is there to tell me where the corners are. And I'm going to draw I drew a dotted line through the corners of the diagonal. And you're like, what the heck is this all about, right? Well, the point of all this is to draw my ellipse. And then the last step the last step is draw, not ellipse, draw your hyperbola using the dots as the vertex. So here, when I look at this, so remember the x value went first, right? The x was positive and the y was negative. So since the x went first, I know that my hyperbola is going to look like this. I know that this problem is supposed to look like this. It's going to be two parabolas facing away from each other, looking like this, facing the left and facing the right. So here, what I do is I use this dot here. This dot, I use it as the vertex of my parabola. So again, these dots are really important. And I'm going to draw a parabola facing the left and then use this dot to draw a parabola facing the right. So when I draw this parabola facing the left, so remember, whenever we draw parabolas, we want to know how fat or narrow or how wide or skinny, how wide or narrow is your parabola, because a parabola could be super skinny, right? Or it could be super wide, right? So you want to know how narrow or wide is my parabola. Well, the asymptotes are the invisible lines that will tell you and guide you to let you know how narrow or wide your parabola should be. So here, I'm going to draw a parabola with this as a vertex pointing to the left here. And it never passes the asymptote. So again, this asymptote is the boundary to tell you how wide or narrow your parabola is going to be. It's going to approach it, but it'll never pass the asymptote. So this tells you that the width or how wide or narrow your parabola is going to be like this. And I'm going to do the same thing with this one here. I'm going to go this side and I'm going to do this side. And I'm going to draw arrows to say that they go on forever. So I use this as the vertex and it points to the left and to the right. And therefore my answer is this is my ellipse. I'm sorry, hyperbola. This is my hyperbola. It's two parabolas that are pointing to the left and to the right. And I know where it started because of these dots. These are its vertex. And I know how wide it is because of the asymptotes that tells me that this is the boundary to the parabolas, the two parabolas, which makes a hyperbola. Does anyone have any questions on this? Any questions?
How do you know where you're gonna put the hyperbolas?
I'm sorry, say again?
How do you know where you're gonna put them? Like if they're gonna go to left or right or up or down?
Oh, great question. Right, I know they're gonna be left and right if they're gonna be left and right if the x value is positive and the y value is negative. Now, if it's switched order and it says y minus blank minus x blah, 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 then I know if the y is positive and the x is negative, so if the y went first and x went second, then I know then I would have drawn this instead as a parabola that went upwards and a parabola that went downwards. If this was switched order, if the y
Okay,
went first and the x went second.
all right, thank you.
Yeah, great question, really good question, right? Yeah, so the order does matter when you have a hyperbola. So all the steps will be exactly the same, except which one you draw in, which one uses a vertex will be different. Any other questions? Alrighty, I'm gonna do one more, just so since I'm already worked on it. So number 8, again it says graph the hyperbola. Notice this is 36, I need it to be a 1, so I'm gonna divide it by 36 again. So I'm gonna divide everything by 36 so that that becomes a 1. As a result, I get x squared over 36 minus y squared over 4, right? Because 9 divided by 36 gives me 1/4, right? So that was just the only extra step I had to take, just to make it look like it equal to 1. So here are the hyperbola. I had to just do some work to make it look like that equation. Hong Kong, again, is still 0, 0. So 0, 0 here. My A is going to be the square root of 36, which is 6. So I'm going to go 6 to the left and 6 to the right. My B is going to equal to 2 because b squared is 4. So b is going to be 2. So I'm going to go up 2 and down 2. And if it was a plus, then I would have just drawn my ellipse and be done. Hold on, guys. But because it's not an ellipse, it's a hyperbola, because it's a minus sign, I'm going to draw my invisible, my dotted rectangle. I'm going to draw my dotted rectangle. I'm going to draw my dotted asymptotes through the corners of these rectangles. Hold on. So now I've drawn the asymptotes. Again, the asymptotes are going to help you figure out whether it's going to be fat or a narrow hyperbola. So here I notice that the x went first. So since the x is positive and the y is negative, the x goes first. So therefore I know that my graph is going to look like this, right? It's going to be in that shape. So therefore I'm going to use this vertex here to draw my graph pointing to the left, and I'll connect it at the vertex here. And I'm going to use this vertex to point it to the right, and this tells me how fat or narrow my parabola is going to be. And that's how you do that problem. I went through that a lot faster than this one just because it was just summarizing it. Let me go ahead, if you guys don't have any more questions. Any questions? Let me give you guys a chance now to go ahead and do number 7 and 8 on your sheet of paper. So in your sheet of paper, it's a little bit different because notice the y is positive and the x is negative, right? The y is positive, x is negative. I'm gonna have you guys go ahead and try these two problems, number 7 and 8. And again, you guys can work with each other as I go offline. And you guys could ask questions to the class, so please feel free to interact with each other. Do 7 and 8. Alrighty, so I hope I gave you guys enough time. I'm gonna unmute all y'all. So help me out with number 7. What do I do first?
Divide by 16.
Number 7?
Oh no, sorry, that was 8.
No worries, let's try number 7 first. But yeah, number 8, you do divide by 16. What do we do with number 7?
Find h and k.
Okay, find h and k. What is h and k in this problem?
-4 and 0.
-4 and 0, you guys agree? So remember, h and k, the x value for the center is always the number that's next to the x. And the y value for the k is always the one that's next to the y. In this case, it actually would not be -4, 0. It would be
0, -4?
right, 0, -4, right? So just be careful of that, and I'm glad we had a problem like this now. So the x value for the center is always the one that's next to this one. And the y value for the center is always the one that's next to the y. So 0, -4. Is everyone okay with that?
Yes.
So that will probably change your graph a little bit. 0, -4. Now what?
We find the A and the B.
Okay, and what is A?
A will be 5,
A is 5.
and B is 4.
Okay. And again, the letters, you guys, some of you guys might have said A is 4 and B is 5. Whichever one is fine, but what does the 5 represent? Is that the horizontal or vertical?
Horizontal.
Horizontal. Is it horizontal actually?
It'll be vertical because it was under the X.
Right.
I mean, under the Y.
25 here is under the Y. So if it's under the Y, that this would be the vertical. So if it's under the vertical, then it would be 5. And for me, I would call this B, but then maybe on Alex, they call it A. Maybe it's something they call MNWRZ. It doesn't really matter what the letter is, but just what's more important is that you understand that the number underneath the Y is the vertical distance, right? What's the number underneath? How about 4? What does that represent?
Horizontal.
Horizontal, right? Because here, the 16 is underneath the X, so that's going to be horizontal. So again, whether you call this B or A or B, it doesn't matter the name of it. And again, on Alex, they'll tell you what they want you to put. I don't remember what they asked for, but just know that the 5 represents the vertical. So I'm going to put up 5. So up 5, I'm at 1, and down 5, I'm at -9. And I'm going to go to the right 4, so I'm at 4, and then to the left 4, I'm at -4. Right, so just as long as you know which one is the horizontal and vertical distance. Okay, we're going to draw our rectangle. I'm going to draw my, okay, so I'm just going to do this a little bit fast, just because we've kind of gone through this a couple times already. Draw our diagonal line. Okay, now what? Which way do I draw my hyperbola? Up and down or left and right?
Up and down.
Up and down, right. So I want to draw my parabola up and down because, and why, how did you know it's going to be up and down?
Because it starts with a y plus 4 square.
Right. Good, because the y is positive. It starts with a positive y minus a negative, minus a x, right? So since the y is positive, the order matters. We saw in here that if y is positive, and you have a minus of an x, then you want it up and down. Good. So I'm going to take this vertex here, and that's going to be the vertex of my parabola. I'm going to draw my parabola so that it's in the width of it is based on the asymptote. In the bottom here, I'm going to draw it down here. You guys have any questions on that? It's kind of fun. Oh yeah. All right, question 8. I know someone said earlier, divide everything by 16, which is correct. You're going to divide everything by 16 because you want it to equal to 1, right? So when you want it to equal to 1, what does the left side become?
Negative x squared over 1.
Negative x squared over 1. Good.
Plus y squared over 16.
Okay, great. And this negative, does the negative matter whether it's on top or on bottom? It doesn't really matter, right? So just so you know, if you have a negative put top or bottom, it doesn't matter. But as you can see now, which one's positive? Is it y or x that's positive?
Y is positive.
Y is positive, right? So if I wanted to rewrite this, I would prefer, you don't have to, but I prefer to put the y squared first and then the x squared second, so that I remember, oh, if it's y squared is positive, what is the shape of my parabola or my hyperbola? Is it up and down or left and right?
Up and down.
Up and down, right? So this reminds me, oh, okay, it's up and down because the y squared is positive. What is my center in this problem? What's HK?
0, 0.
0, 0, great. What is what's horizontal and what's vertical?
Your horizontal, would it be 1?
Yep, horizontal will be 1, right? Because this is 1. A squared is equal to 1, so square root of 1 is just 1. What? Hold on 1 second. So what is the vertical going to be?
4?
4. Good. Thank you, Kent. I see your answer. So the vertical is going to be 4 underneath the y. So whatever's underneath the y is going to be vertical. Whatever's underneath the x is going to be horizontal. And hopefully that makes sense because x is a horizontal axis and y is a vertical axis. So it kind of matches with that, right? So when you graph this 0, 0, I go 1 to the left, 1 to the right, 4 up and 4 down. I end up drawing my rectangle. It looks something like this. And of course on Alex, it'll be much more exact. I'm going to draw asymptotes that goes through here. So I'm not using a ruler right now. I'm just kind of doing it quickly. And then we said that we want it to be up and down because the y squared was positive. So I'm going to draw my asymptote. So that's approaching the diagonals. Shh, guys, I'm working. And it's going to end up looking like this. All right, do you guys have any questions on this? No? All right, so we still, any questions? I just want to leave it open for a little bit. Any questions? All right, so we still have number 1 and number 2 to do, and I'll get to that after we do a few student spotlights. I'm not gonna have any breaks because I wanna make sure I get all the student spotlights in. But the hardest part of this chapter were these things, circles, ellipse, and hyperbola. After this, we're gonna talk about lines. We're gonna talk about the midpoint formula, midpoint, and then the distance formula. So those are the last 2 topics, which is on number 1 and number 2. But and it's not too hard. So we'll get to that after the break. Or not after the break, after the spotlights. So next up for the spotlights, and if you guys aren't presenting, if you guys want to take a quick break, feel free to do so. But for those of you guys who want to hear from your other classmates, feel free to stay online here. I'm going to have screen share. Dun, dun, dun. Emily already went. Jesus already went. Just kidding, not that. I'm trying to remember where you guys sent me your stuff.
I sent you mine on Messenger.
Oh, okay, on Facebook Messenger?
Yeah.
Okay, and who is this that's speaking?
Diana?
Oh, Dayana, there you are, okay. So Dayana, and are you okay with me recording this?
Yeah, that's fine.
Alrighty. I need access, it says. Unless you could just share from your screen. Do you want to share from your screen?
Let's see if I know how to do that.
Ashley, were you someone that wanted to go as well or no? I'm trying to remember who said.
Yes, but I think I sent it to you through email.
Through email? Through Canvas or regular email?
Regular email.
So, Alonso. Is it this one?
Yeah, it should be.
Alrighty. So after you're up. And are you okay with me? You said you were okay with it.
Yeah, it's okay.
All right. Go ahead, Ashley. Go first.
So the top left, for the first 2 on the left, the top is me and my parents. The bottom one is me and my brother. And then both of my parents are from Mexico. And so on the bottom, it's a few places I've been to. So the first one with the pool is in San Simeon. I was trying to find a photo of Mexico from where they were from, but I didn't really have any. And then the second one is from Yosemite. The third one is at Disneyland, just because I like to go out a lot. And then the one of the puppy is my puppy, Lonnie. She's turned a year a couple months ago, I think in February. And then the 2 on the right are my 2 best friends who I've known since kinder. And then the 2 pictures on the top, the first one are ultrasounds, which is what I want to be. So right now I'm majoring in ZMI. I'm currently going to Long Beach City College, but I hope to transfer to California State Long Beach. And yeah, that's pretty much it.
Great. Any questions for Ashley?
How old is your puppy?
She just turned a year, not too long ago. So she's still a little small, but she's gotten bigger.
Very cute.
I think it was Emily that said that she But she likes Disneyland too, right? You guys should go together. Awesome. Great. Thank you. And I hope you get to your dream job of doing ultrasounds. It's awesome.
Thank you.
I'm glad you have family and friends surrounding you. That's really important. Great. Thank you, Ashley. Diana, you said that you just sent it again.
Yeah, it should work now.
Okay. Can you guys see that? Okay, Diana, do you see that?
No.
Can you guys see that? No?
We still see Ashley's.
Okay. Sometimes if I have too many things up on my screen, it goes crazy. All right. All right, how about now? Diana, you're up.
Yeah, I can see it now.
Okay.
Okay, so a little bit about myself. Those are my 2 dogs on the left corner. The one on the left is a year, and the one on the right is 15 years old. I've had her pretty much my whole life. She's my best friend. Next to that is a veterinarian, and that's my dream job. I'm hoping to go to Cal Poly Pomona and get into pre-vet. On the lower left corner, those are my cousins. They're pretty much my best friends, the people that I talk to every day. Yeah. So, and then next to that, I put that because that's like a major part of my life, which is God. I'm a Christian, so that's why I put that in there. And then to the right, I put some of my makeup looks that I've done because I love makeup. I've pretty much been surrounded by it my whole life because my mom at one point was a cosmetologist, and I'd always like go with her to her appointments. And then at the bottom of that, I put some skincare because I'm also pretty passionate about skincare and learning about skincare. So yeah, that's pretty much it.
Great. Any comments or questions for Diana? Is this you, Diana?
Yeah.
Wow. Are you still doing your makeup and your eyelashes during this time?
No, probably like once a week. But before it would be like 6 times a week. So I'm just giving my skin a break right now.
Right. Yeah. It looks beautiful though.
Thank you.
Any other questions or comments? I'm surprised you're not going to cosmetology.
I see it more like I don't know, like a hobby. I love animals more than all that, so.
Got it. When I hear and see you guys' student spotlights, like before, like when we were in class and I would listen to them, oh yeah, it's really cool, like hobbies and your friends and family and pets and things like that was cool. But now when I hear it, for me, it's kind of like, wow, these are the things that are getting you guys through this hard time, you know? Through this time of quarantining. Like, you know, these are the resources in your life that are important to you during a time when there's a crisis, you know, like your faith, your cousins, your pets, you know, your hobbies, the things that you guys like to do. Like, these are really important resources in your life, you know. So when I hear these things, it makes me feel kind of emotional and really glad that you guys do have these resources. Alrighty. So let's see who's up next. I'm trying to remember who else. So we have Diana already went. Ashley just went. Was it Ashley that just went? No.
Yes.
Yeah, Ashley went. There's still Joseph and Stephanie. Did you guys want to go?
I'm ready.
Joseph, where did you send it to me?
On Canvas.
On Canvas, okay. So let me go ahead and find it real quick. Canvas, okay. Joseph, you just sent it to me?
Yeah, this morning.
Okay, got it. All right, so screen share and this. You guys all see that?
Yeah, I see it.
All right, Joseph, you're up.
All right. Hello. My name is Joseph Aguirre. I'm 24 years old, and I'm studying in computer security and networking, which is on the top right. And I'm gonna start from the top left and go down around. I'm really into sports. My favorite teams are the Chargers and the Lakers. That picture is me and my little sister. We shared like birthday in the same month, so we had like a cheesecake at home.
Aw.
And that's just a random pick of gaming because I like to game just like anybody else. Those two flags are my parents' nationality. My mom's Salvadorian and my dad was Mexican. So I'm just mixed with that and of course American. I was born here. And then the bottom, I'm really into music. I used to DJ and produce music until I took a break. That's why I have like the music around my name, or like the music notes. But in the bottom left, that's Juice World. In the middle is XXX Extension, and then the right's Lil Peep. Sadly, they all passed away.
Mm.
And then in the bottom right, those two to the left of that picture is Chris Cornell. He was the lead singer of Audioslave. And then to the right was Chester Bennington, he was a lead singer of Linkin Park. And sadly, they both passed away as well.
Wow, they're so young.
Yeah, the ones on the left, yeah, they were all young. I think they're all like 21 or something
Wow.
when they passed away. But to the right, I'm not sure how old they were.
Very cool. And did you talk about this upper right? What was this?
Oh yeah, that was the what I'm studying for. Computer security and networking.
Oh, okay. Got it.
Yeah.
Very cool. Any comments or questions for Joseph? Awesome. I'm glad. Are you working on a lot of music during this time then?
I had to get a new laptop, but it just came in, so I'm about to get started on it.
Okay, cool. Yeah. Well, thank you for sharing.
No problem.
All right, so I think the last person I had up here was Stephanie. Did you have yours, Stephanie?
Yeah, I sent it through Canvas.
Oh, through Canvas? Okay, let me go ahead and open that. Okay, got it. All right, found it. Screen share and PowerPoint. All right. And Stephanie, you're okay with me recording this?
Yeah, I'm okay with it.
All right, you're up, my dear.
Okay. So my name is Stephanie. I'm 21 years old. The thing about me is I graduated at Poly High School 2016. On the top right hand, that is my family on my sister's wedding. My two sisters on the left of me, those are my two sisters, and that is my dad, my mom, and next to my mom is my other sister. And also on the top left corner, it says CVS Pharmacy. I work as a cashier, but right now I am training to work in the pharmacy, and my first day working at the pharmacy is this Sunday, so I'm kind of nervous for that. Something new. Next to that picture is what I call a rave festivals. I'm a big fan going to raves. I've been to EDC, Beyond Wonderland, Nocturnal, Escape, and I want to go to like different ones. Some of them are like outside of California, but hopefully I could go to that like in the future. And then next to that picture is me and my boyfriend. Next month we're gonna be 2 years together. And then the picture with the camera is I'm really involved and I really like photography. I just feel like photography is like a hobby of mine. And then the picture in the bottom is like the world, the map. I like to travel. I want to go traveling. I already have lists of where I want to go. the only places I've been to is Nevada and Georgia and Mexico, but I want to go to like other places, like see the world. And then on the bottom, after that is the PlayStation.
What happened to it? Sorry. Okay. Is it showing now?
Yeah.
Okay, go ahead.
And for the PlayStation, I like playing PlayStation. I first thought it was kind of like weird, like playing games, but I kind of got involved with like video games. And the beach, I love going to the beach. It's my favorite place to go to, where I feel like it's a place where I could like clear my mind, like a peaceful place of mine. And the picture where is my dog. I had her for I had her since 2008. She passed away last year on June. So next month it will be a year without her. And then my favorite sports team is Dodger. I'm a big fan of Dodger.
Very cool. Any questions for Stephanie or comments? Have you been able to go to the beach the past month?
No, I haven't. I just been busy with doing training for the pharmacy.
Oh, okay. Congratulations on your new position.
Thank you.
Great. Well, I hope you get to go to the beach sometimes. It's beautiful out here.
Yeah, hopefully I could go next week or in the beginning of next month.
And happy 2-year anniversary as well.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you so much, Stephanie.
You're welcome.
All right. Without further ado, so I see.
Professor, can I present mine as well?
Who is
I haven't presented yet. Kayla.
Kayla, do you have yours? Did you send it to me yet?
Yes, I sent it to you this morning.
Kayla, let me see. Let me find you. Where did you send it to me?
Through your email and also on Canvas.
On Canvas, the only thing I see on Canvas from you is your exam work. I don't see it on here. You know what? It's about 12:10 right now, so I really actually don't want. I actually want to be able to finish the last 2 topics. So Kayla, we have one more Zoom session, and that one's going to be a final exam review. So what I'm going to do is I'll have you do the next one, and Kent, I also see that you wanted to do yours as well. I'm going to have the 2 of you guys do it next time. Okay.
Okay.
Kayla and Kent, I'll have you guys down for next time. And by the way, Kayla, I didn't see it on my Canvas, so if you could try sending it again. And Kent, you could send it to me on my Canvas as well, so next time I could just pop it up. All right, so last but not least now, I want to go through the last 2 problems in the last 20 minutes. So the last 2 problems here is the midpoint formula and the distance formula. So if you look at your worksheet, one of the questions that they ask us, I'm trying to find it real quick. All right, so here they ask us, find the midpoint of this line, segment. Segment means that it actually ends. A line goes on and on forever. So if something goes on and on forever, you really can't find the middle of it. But if it's a line segment, it has a beginning and an end. So that's why it's a dot instead of an arrow. So they ask you to find the middle. Where is the middle? So the middle probably somewhere here, I'm thinking. So the middle is somewhere in the middle. The middle is somewhere in the middle. The middle is a point somewhere in the middle. And the question is, what is that point, right? So here they tell us that A is -5, -8, and B is 7, 2. So they give you these endpoints. So how you find the middle of something is think of average. How do you find the average of something? What do you do?
You add them and divide by the amount.
Great. Yes. So when you think of average, is that you add them up, add up all whatever, and then you divide by the number of things that there are, right? So if I give you the average of the test scores, add up all the scores and divide by how many students that took the test, right? So in this case, it's the same thing. If you want to find the midpoint or the average, is you're going to add up the two and divide by how many points there are. Well, there's 2 points, right? So the formula, I actually really like the formula because it makes a lot of sense. So remember that there's going to be an x value and a y value, right? The midpoint is always an x value and a y value because it has to be a point on the graph. So what you're going to do is you're going to add up the x values. So add up the 2 x values, and then you're going to divide it by the number of points. Well, there's only 2 points. Same thing with the y values. You're going to add up the y values, and you're going to divide it by the number of points, which is 2. So here in this problem, let me give you guys a chance to try that. So if you're going to add up the x values and divide by 2, that's going to give you your x coordinate. And you're going to add up the y values and divide by 2, and that'll give you the y coordinate. Let me give you a chance to try that. And feel free to shout out the answer once you get it.
One negative 3.
Okay, 1 negative 3, is that you, Anthony?
Yeah.
And how did you get 1 negative 3? What did you do?
So it would be -5 plus 7 divided by 2.
All right.
And then -8 plus 2 divided by 2.
Great.
And then we just simplify. So it would be 1. It will be 2 divided by 2, which would give us 1.
Mm-hmm.
And then -6 divided by 2, which would give us -3.
Great. So let's see if this looks like a 1 negative 3. Does this dot look like it's 1 negative 3? It sure does, right? So this is 1 negative 3, right? If I had a dot that was like somewhere here, if I had some kind of an answer where it was like somewhere random, like somewhere different that doesn't even look like here, we probably know we did it wrong, right? So the nice thing about graphs is you can always double check your words. Say, does that look like a 1 negative 3? It sure does. That is the middle. All right. And that's it. That's the midpoint formula. So we don't have to spend too much time on that. Is everyone okay with that? So, and as you can see, this chapter has a lot of formulas. So that's part of the reason why for the final exam, I'm okay with you guys using a note sheet. There's a bunch of formulas throughout the semester. I've had you guys memorize a lot of them. And then this last stuff, I'm like, okay, you know, it's a lot of different formulas here. You guys can have a note sheet for these, okay? All right, question 2 now says to calculate the distance between 2 points. So the distance between 2 points here is G is a -4, 2. And Q is 1, -1. So if you drew a line here, they want to know how long is that line? What's the length of that line, or what's the distance between these two? So to find the distance between these 2 points, we're really going to be, so the long story short, or long story long, to find the distance between these two, it's almost like if I created a right triangle, and then I made it a right triangle to look like this. Do you remember what theorem that we used to do the right triangle?
Isn't it like a squared plus b squared equals c squared?
Exactly, right? So if I put a, b, and c here, right? A squared plus b squared is equal to c squared. That's a Pythagorean theorem. Do you guys remember that guy? That theorem? So the C is always the longest part, right? So this C here is the length that we want to find. That's a length that we want to find, the C. So in order to find out what C is, since it's a C squared, if I want to find out what C is, how do I get rid of a squared?
Square root.
Right, I'm going to square root both sides. If I square root C squared, I get C. I'm going to have to square root A squared plus B squared, right? So the C is equal to the square root of A squared plus B squared. Well, A is the distance between here and here, and B is the distance between here and here. And I'm like, okay, so what's that distance then? So if I call this x1, y1, and I call this x2, y2, those are the 2 points that are given, right? These 2 points here, that's my G and my Q. My G and my Q, I call x1, y1, and x2, y2. The formula for this then, the distance of A is really, or the distance of B, it doesn't really matter which one you do first. The distance of B is if I wanted to find the distance, the length of this, I would take the difference between the x values, x2 minus x1, to give me the distance of B. If I wanted to find the distance of A, I would take the difference of the y values, y2 minus y1, and I would square it. So here, the overall distance formula, so I was just explaining to you how we get the distance formula. So this C is what I'll just call the distance between 2 points. So the formula, I was just explaining to you how we get the formula. The formula is this. So this is the midpoint formula. The distance formula is going to be the square root of a squared plus b squared. Well, what is a squared? And what is b squared? So something squared plus something squared. So it's going to be the difference between the x values, and I square it, because that's what the distance is, right? It's a difference between this minus this will give you the distance of b. And then the difference between the y values, because that's the difference of these two things. So it's really, so the distance formula comes from the Pythagorean theorem. You don't need to know that proof. I was just explaining it to you quickly so you could understand that the distance formula did not come out of thin air. The distance formula comes from the Pythagorean theorem. So once you know this formula, then you could just apply it. So let's go ahead and apply that formula to this problem. So the distance is equal to the square root of x2 minus x1 squared plus y2 minus y1 squared. Let me give you guys a chance to try doing that.
Oh, so how do you know which one's x2, or it doesn't matter?
Oh, that's a great question, Anthony. It doesn't matter. So if you say this is -4 minus 1, then you just need to make sure when you do subtraction of the y squared, you do it in the same order as well.
Okay.
Right. Just like when we do slopes, y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1, it doesn't matter which one you subtract first, but as long as you keep it consistent with the next one. Great question. Let me give you guys a chance to work on that. All right, let's go ahead and take a look at this. So x2 minus x1, what did you guys get? Anyone?
-4 minus 1.
Okay, so let's do -4 minus 1, and we're going to square that. So we do -4 minus 1 plus, and what's y2 minus y1 then? Which order do we go?
2 minus, or 2 plus 1.
Right. So 2 minus the -1, or in other words, 2 plus 1, right? Are you guys okay with what Anthony did?
Yes.
All right. So what do we get in this first one here?
Be -5 squared.
Okay, -5 squared, which gives us
25.
25, great. And what do we get here? Plus?
9.
Plus 9.
Great. And what's 25 plus 9?
34.
34. Is my answer 34? What am I missing?
The square root.
The square root of 34. Great. So that's basically it. You just it's plug and chug. Nothing too crazy about it. Plugging and chugging in the formulas. And I'm not going to ask you to memorize it, so you can write it down and use it. Square root. I think you can. I see that. Okay, so it's 12:21. Actually, we have time for one more spotlight, because I always like to honor people's time. Kent, I did see your student spotlight that you sent to me. So, Kent, are you available? Can I hear you? Okay, Kent's working on getting his audio on right now. And once you get it on, Kent, I'm gonna go ahead and show your screen. Kayla, I did check my email right now and my Canvas. I did not see your PowerPoint for some reason. So if I don't get it today, we could have you share on next Wednesday.
Is this working?
Yes, Kent, I hear you. Perfect. And are you okay with me recording this, Kent, or would you rather not?
That's fine.
That's fine. Okay. All right, Kent, you are up.
Okay, so I'm gonna start with the top left picture. Well, my name is Kent. I'm 24. I live in Long Beach. I'm just trying to finish my GED. And so, anyways, so the top left picture is just me and my friends at Lake Mojave. We go camping like once a year.
Which one are you in this picture?
I'm the one sitting in the tube, the bottom right.
Oh, right here? Got it.
And then there's also a jet ski picture that deals with the camping. And so the whole top right corner is just like me and my cars. I've had several cars. I've had a 240, a 350, and a lot of other cars. And then the bottom left is when I used to live in North Carolina. So I used to live in hotels a lot for work. It was fun. And that picture is a double rainbow I saw in North Carolina. I just thought I should share it with you guys.
Oh, I see two here, yeah.
Next to that is my girlfriend. I took her for a walk recently. And the bottom right is it's when I went to visit DC. That's a Washington Monument. And yeah, that's it.
Great. It sounds like you've done a lot in life.
Thank you.
Where did you take your girlfriend? What picture?
That was Malibu.
Oh, nice. And where do you like to go camping or tubing at?
Lake Mojave.
I'm sorry, where is that?
It's in it's by Hoover Dam. It's connected to Hoover Dam. You ever heard of that?
What city or what state?
Nevada.
Oh, Nevada. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Awesome. Any questions or comments for Kent? And what were you said you were living in hotels a lot in North Carolina? What was your job, you said?
I was a service technician, fixing home appliances and stuff.
Okay.
So yeah, I lived in Arizona, North Carolina, NorCal.
Wow, that's really great. So you've been exposed to a lot of different places.
Mm-hmm.
And I see that you fix cars. Oh my gosh, I just had to get my car fixed. I should have asked you.
Yeah, it's a little hobby I like to do.
Right. And what's your major?
Electrical.
Okay. Cool. Any questions or comments? All right, thank you, Kent, for sharing that. Very interesting stuff. Let me see spotlight. All right, so it's 12:25. I'm letting you guys off a little bit early. Kayla, whenever you want, you can send me your stuff, and then I'll have you share next week. Remember that your homework assignment is due on Sunday this week. If you guys have any questions, please contact Garrett or myself. And then the test will be, the quiz will be available after that, and it'll be due by Tuesday night. And we have no Zoom on Monday, so I will see you guys on Wednesday for a practice final review. And then after that, we are done with the class. So great job, you guys, hanging in there. I'm really proud of you guys, despite all the challenging circumstances that you guys have held on to this class and continued studying and doing what you need to do. So good to see you guys. See you guys on Wednesday. And thank you everyone for sharing.
Bye.
Bye. Take care.
Bye. Have a good day.
Thank you, Professor. Have a good afternoon.
Take care. Bye.
Yeah.